What's the smartest thing you've seen in court? The smartest thing I ever saw in a court wasn't accomplished by an attorney, but by a 16-year-old girl. I bet she's a lawyer now, as it was some years ago. If not, she's surely doing something that requires similar talents and abilities, because she removed a threat and constant victimizer from our community when lawyers couldn't. It wasn't a particularly important case, but she approached it acting as her own attorney and as if she had been arrested for unaliving someone. She even brought her own self-produced Technicolor slide and video shows. She had been pulled for speeding and running a stop sign by a county deputy who was the brain of our resort community, from which the only way into the city where many of us worked or had other homes was by passing through a small town. Deputy Thug, as we called him, often lay in wait behind huge trees in the darkness, not just for lawbreakers but for people to harass at night when observers were not about. His favorite victims were minorities and teenagers and younger women of any race. He never pulled mature men, even if they were flying low, or older women, maybe for fear of husbands and sons, or maybe they reminded him of his mother. Almost all of our law enforcement officers were extremely polite and courteous, even if they hauled you off to jail. But people were afraid of this man. Everyone, even other deputies, knew that those he pulled were far more likely to be innocent than guilty and that he threatened violence and set people up, but no one had been able to prove it, with or without lawyers. Deputy Thug was not merely a liar, but a bully with no one controlling him. He was proud of his reputation for the most tickets, the most arrests, the most feared, etc. He yelled, screamed, called names, demanded people, especially boys, get out of cars so he could shove them around and try to provoke them into something he could arrest them for. He threatened, he intimidated, he accused them of serious crimes. I know it was true, because I saw it, and spoke up about it, and later I was also targeted. He was nasty and very threatening until I convinced him I knew my rights, and for reasons not worth going into here, he wouldn't be as likely to win my kind of fight as he would a violent one against a teenage boy. Miss 16-year-old approached the docket like Perry Mason pretending to be Columbo. You would have to see it and hear a lot of detail to get the brilliance of how she set him up, but just to simplify it, she asked him question after question, about what she did, where she was, why that was illegal, where he was, what he saw, what he did, when he did it, on and on. She repeated every important question, asking twice if he were absolutely sure beyond a doubt. Of course, he would answer, arrogant and condescending, tough, counterattacking, apparently not suspecting a trap being laid. Since she refuted nothing he said, even seemed to be accepting his lies and a bit chagrined at times, the 200 or so of us in the courtroom felt sorry for her. Deputy Thug was verbally beating her up to the extent the judge would let him, and we were losing hope that she had anything to offer to support her case, until she finished her line of inquiry and turned on the visuals. She turned from Columbo into a 16-year-old ace prosecutor and proved with the slides and film that every single answer he had given her was a lie. She had not even been where he claimed and wrote on the ticket that the incident happened. He had not pulled her at the time he said and wrote. There was no stop sign where he said she had run one. The speed limit at the place he cited was higher than he said she was driving, on and on and on. Then, after she had disproven all his claims beyond a doubt, she proved that both the place she actually was and the place he falsely claimed to have pulled her weren't even in his jurisdiction. He had no right to pull her or ticket her, let alone threaten to arrest her, as if she had been committing grand theft auto. And during that process, she handled him as if she had 30 years' experience in dismantling the defenses of hardened criminals, and he lost control and exploded at her when he realized she had shown him up as a liar and abuser of his authority. The entire courtroom erupted in loud cheers and applause as the judge, enraged well before this point, dismissed the case and shredded the deputy, saying that he was a disgrace to his uniform and that he himself was deeply offended by the lies just told, also implying that serious consequences were in order. Unfortunately, the judge had no control over police personnel, and Deputy Thug was not fired. But he stopped harassing our community and we never saw the swagger and arrogance again. All because a 16-year-old decided to take the time and trouble to carefully prepare a real defense and offense instead of just paying the fine. I wondered if one of her parents might have been an attorney. Someone close to her could have advised, but the girl did it all. I hope she is fighting for the right somewhere today. The lesson I learned is that it sometimes pays to take small cases that seem to have little chance of success to court.